Hello, hello, hello. Is it on? Oh, I need to make my voice louder. Oh, but people are still walking in, so I'm going to give it a minute. What?
If you turn this on, you're live on TV, so we're gonna.
Oh, okay.
Can everyone sit down, please?
You've got a much. I'm still recovering from that disease everybody had, so my voice isn't that loud.
We need to sit down. We're gonna start the presentation. Everybody, can we take our seats, please?
All right. I'm going to apologize in advance for being out of breath, but I'm still have that lingering whatever it is that we all had over the holidays. Okay, we ready? Everybody have a seat? All right. Well, welcome. We're delighted you're here to share with us the kickoff event to celebrate Hamilton-Wenham's Library's 25th anniversary. My name is Sheila Lang, and I'm the acting president of the Friends of the Hamilton-Wenham Library. I would like to begin, which was an idea from this afternoon, by reading the mission statement of the Hamilton-Wenham Public Library, because I think it kind of says it all. The Hamilton-Wenham Public Library is a publicly funded institution dedicated to the common good by serving the informational, educational, cultural, and recreational needs of the community and encouraging its patrons in the lifelong pursuit of learning and personal growth. The library will be responsive to the needs of its diverse users, advocate and support the use of appropriate technology, build an excellent collection, commit itself to the highest ideals of library service and the principles of intellectual freedom, and provide a welcoming meeting place for the community. I think that kind of says it all, why we are here and why we support this institution. Libraries are lifelines. They shape futures and open doors to opportunity. The library is a popular spot for all residents. Libraries are among the most trusted institutions in America, providing opportunity and enrichment at every stage of life. Yet in recent years, libraries have been facing unprecedented challenges. Bans on library materials and programs, threats to cut local funding, and state legislation that would criminalize librarians for doing their jobs. Now, the federal government has cut off its modest but effective support for libraries, from withdrawal of funding for broadband to the elimination of the only source of federal funding for our nation's 125,000 libraries. Although some lawmakers have questioned the legality of this and are attempting to reinstate promised grants, there's no indication of when or if the funds will become available. Therefore, I think the Friends of the Library become even more important, which at our annual meeting this year, I said, okay, this is it, guys. We need to step up. So Friends of the Library are essential to the success and growth of the library. Our goal is to not only raise money to continue funding the outstanding programs and services patrons of all ages enjoy, but to create awareness and appreciation for the library within our community. To that end, the Friends of the Hamilton-Wenham Library are planning a year-long campaign of exciting events and worthwhile activities beyond the traditional book sales to further our fundraising goals. One of the projects that the Friends would like to highlight is a worthwhile project very near and dear to my heart, the digitization of the complete run of the Hamilton-Wenham Chronicle. For close to 20 years, I worked for EBSCO Publishing, licensing content and peer-reviewed journals for aggregated databases that are in every single college and university worldwide. They're in underdeveloped countries. Thank you to Soros for providing the computers. So libraries are very, very important for a lot of different reasons. But preserving local historical documents is crucial, because they provide tangible links to our past, offering insights into community identity, cultural heritage, and societal evolution, which educates future generations, fosters continuity, and helps understand present challenges through the lens of history, preventing cultural erasure and strengthening community pride. These records document personal stories, traditions, and collective memory, making history vivid and relevant beyond just the dates and the names. The library, this library right here, is the only repository of the issues of the Hamilton-Wenham Chronicle from 1965 to 2022, when it ceased to be a paper print. Many of the physical issues are over 50 years old and are showing severe signs of wear and decomposition. I worked in the museum industry for another 15 years, working with archives and restoring not only paperworks, but textiles, and preserving a lot of oil paintings in the city of Baltimore. So I know how important it is, and I know how easily these things deteriorate, and unless they have correct archival storage, we're going to lose them. Digitization, of course, is the most practical and accessible way to preserve this resource. Once they're digitized, you will be able to, it includes everything. It includes all the photos, all the text, even the ads, and I think it's a very important resource. So the records also provide researchers, historians, genealogists, and students with firsthand accounts and other primary sources that can be used to analyze, interpret, and acquire better comprehension of past events. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. The library provides so many programs and services designed by an exceptionally talented staff, and many are largely funded by the Friends. To name just a few, and I'm sure that hopefully everybody here has had a chance to participate in some: the museum passes, guest speakers, access to computers and technology, craft events for children and adults, a really good children's program, social service and tax assistance, movies, cultural experiences, multiple book groups, meeting spaces, which I know the town has taken a lot of advantage of. Well, the town hall is still being renovated. Author talks and seasonal and themed read-alongs. There's a winter one going on right now, summer reading programs, and so much more. Thank you. Oh, that's going to be helpful. All right. I'm about to get to the meat of this whole thing. You ready? Fasten your seatbelts. Okay. The Friends have a fundraising goal of $50,000. The group plans on hosting a variety of fun and educational activities throughout 2026 to celebrate the 25th anniversary and to reach our goal. Some ideas that have been thrown out are, some of them are really cool: scavenger hunt, game nights, partnering with local restaurants and other civic clubs, and a lot more. So my idea, and I think I've sold everybody, is some may have prizes, some will be fundraisers, and some may be just for fun and to encourage an active, like-minded community to participate in this year-long goal. The year-long campaign will culminate in a grand gala to celebrate the library's 25th year with food, fun, entertainment, and a silent auction to be held on November 13th, 2026 at the First Church of Wenham. For this to be a success, now, more than ever, we need volunteers to assist the Friends. Consider becoming a sponsor or donating to the silent auction. We're seeking goods and services, gift baskets, travel, tickets, if you've got a vacation rental, and experiences, which apparently are very popular right now. If you have skills in technology, communications, fundraising, or event planning, please consider getting involved. The commitment can be as much or as little as you're willing to give and willing to share. We will endeavor to make it an enjoyable and rewarding experience. So please, tonight, add your name to the volunteer sign-up sheet that my daughter so helpfully made up for me. And make sure your membership is up to date. And if not, you can see Rosemary in the red sweater over there. She'll let you know. Okay. That's my plea. I hope it's heartfelt, and I think it's going to be a very important, very active, and hopefully rewarding year. And I think we can reach our goal. I don't think it's too lofty, and I think it's reasonable if we all pull together and participate. So now I would like to hand the mic over to our exceptionally talented and dedicated library director, Kim Butler. There you go.
Let's see if I live up to that. I have a couple of slides I'm going to show as I sort of go through the things I wanted to talk about. I did get a chance to go into our closed stacks where we keep all of our back issues of the physical issues of the Chronicle. And without bringing them down here to be able to share, unfortunately, just as Sheila mentioned, they're a little bit delicate for touching and paging through. I did take some photos of some favorite headlines, so I'm going to show you some of those in a little bit as we move through sort of what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for coming. For those that don't know me, my name is Kim Butler. I'm the library director here. I've been here since April of 2019, which is fabulous timing on my part. So again, I just want to thank you all for being here and for the many ways that you all support the library throughout the year. It's really nice to see such a great turnout of people who care deeply about this institution and about the role it plays in our community. Your presence here speaks volumes. And I'd first like to begin by thanking the Friends of the Library for organizing this event and all the work that goes into making Membership Month a success. The Friends have long been champions of the library, not just through fundraising, but through advocacy, volunteerism, and a shared belief that the library matters. You're ambassadors for the library in the truest sense, and the impact of that work reaches far beyond what most people ever see. This year is especially meaningful to our library because we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. 25 years ago, this library opened its doors with a bold and, at the time, somewhat unusual vision to serve as a joint public library. Today, we remain the only joint public library in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That distinction is not just a fun fact. It reflects a deep commitment to collaboration, shared governance, and the idea that communities are stronger when they work together. A joint library requires trust. It requires compromise. It requires a shared belief that access to information, education, and culture is worth investing in together. For 25 years, this library has embodied that belief, and the Friends have been a constant and essential partner in making that vision work. When we reflect on a 25th anniversary, it's natural to think about milestones, new services, changing technologies, expanding collections, but it's also a moment to reflect on our continuity. Over the past quarter century, so much has changed in how people access information. We've moved from card catalogs to online catalogs, from CD-ROMs to streaming media, from print indexes to full-text databases. And yet, at its core, the mission of the library has remained the same: to preserve knowledge, to provide access to all, and to serve as a welcoming civic space for everyone. That balance between preserving the past and embracing the future is at the heart of the Friends fundraising efforts this year. As we said, our local newspaper is one of our most valuable resources in our collection. It's also one of the most fragile. Within its pages are the everyday stories of this community: births and obituaries, school achievements, local debates, major celebrations, and quiet moments that might otherwise be forgotten. These newspapers capture history not as it was later interpreted, but as it was lived. If you've ever researched your family history, helped a student with a local history project, or simply been curious about what these towns were like decades ago, you understand the power of that resource. There is something deeply moving about reading a headline from 50 or 75 years ago and realizing that the concerns and hopes and joys of the people who lived here then are not so different from our own. As I said, I've spent some time with these newspapers myself, and I can tell you that they're full of moments that made me stop and smile, or pause and reflect, or go, wow, that happened here? articles about town meetings where familiar issues were debated, photos of long-gone storefronts and restaurants, announcements of community events that feel both distant and remarkably familiar. These are not just historical documents, they are collective memory. So I'm gonna stop for a second and I'll bring up some of my favorites that I came across in my, my journey through here. I'll start back at the beginning. So the first slide shows us, this is the very first issue of the Chronicle, Volume 1, Number 1, dated Friday of September 30th, 19, what are we saying, 49? See, no glasses. So that's the very first issue. We have just that single one. This is in protective sleeves, and nobody touches this one. Moving along. I loved this. The town of Hamilton got their second police car. Exciting. In 1966. Very busy. This was when the MBTA first decided they were going to come to town. The rest is history, as they say. These were some headlines during the Civil Rights Movement and the Civil Rights March in Selma, Alabama. Still had movements and marches here. I thought this was fascinating, that there were a lot of people that didn't want a leash law, but different times. People thought differently. The world has changed. A lot of fires. I was shocked to see how many fires were on the front page. And sadly, this was one that was an arson fire in Asbury Grove. That was just a sampling. This was the paper after the killing of Martin Luther King. On a happier note, the day after the first moon landing. It's on the screen, but you don't believe it. Local student that was at Kent State during the shooting at Kent State. So that's what struck me too, these big national events that had local connections as I was sort of piecing through them. This one was shocking to me. The tank in Patton Park was bombed. Apparently someone threw a Molotov cocktail at it. I think it was a war protest since it was the 70s, but that was shocking to me. Princess Anne came to visit. That was very exciting. Rode her horses. Whoops, sorry, went too fast. This was the bicentennial celebration, which I thought was apropos considering we're doing the semi-quincentennial this year, which is a fun word to say. Use it a lot, it's fun. Blizzard of 78. We don't see blizzards anymore, sadly. A computer was requested for the libraries. This is the Wenham Library. I believe it was the early 80s. Anyone see the cost of that from their seat? $8,300 for one computer. Thank goodness they don't cost that anymore. Bob Stanley, our friend from the Red Sox, when he was living in Hamilton, pitching for the Sox. That did not end so well. Hurricane Gloria, I remember this as a kid. We had a shed blow over in our backyard, so I thought that was fascinating. We got to miss school that day, too. When the Generals, they won state championship, 1996 maybe? 86? See, glasses. No glasses. I should have made it bigger. I remember this too, the big deal when all the zip codes changed and nobody knew where they were. Y2K, anyone still worried about Y2K? Huh? No? Mm-hmm. And then I sort of kept these separate. These were sort of the first, the series of articles. There were a lot of them when the Joint Library started. The first discussions happened. We had then moving on to the selectmen backing the Joint Library Plan. And then my last photo I'll share with you was, this was the big check when from the grant money that came from the state when the construction happened. And I'll tell you, I started doing this last week, And I made it into the early 2000s, obviously. And I'm sure there were a lot more fun ones that I missed. But I just wanted to share a few of those that made me laugh, made me smile, made me think, sort of made it all relevant to today. So as we were saying, by digitizing the local newspaper, we're ensuring that these stories that we're sharing are preserved for future generations, while also dramatically expanding access. Instead of being available only within the library and only to those who know how to navigate bound volumes or microfilm, the newspaper becomes searchable, discoverable, and accessible to anyone: students, researchers, genealogists, and residents near and far. Digitization allows someone to search a name, a street, a topic in seconds. It allows teachers to incorporate primary sources into lessons. It allows former residents to reconnect with their hometown. It transforms a fragile, finite resource into something that can be used widely without risk to the original materials. It's also important to say that digitization is not a simple or inexpensive process. It requires specialized handling, high-quality imaging, careful indexing, and long-term digital storage. It's meticulous work done by professionals who understand both preservation and access. It is an investment, but one with lasting returns. And this is exactly the kind of project that the Friends make possible. None of this happens without the Friends of the Library. Your memberships and contributions support projects that fall outside the day-to-day operating budget. As Sheila mentioned, projects that enhance the library in meaningful and lasting ways, projects that may otherwise remain out of reach. In a milestone year like this one, there's something especially fitting about focusing on preservation. As we celebrate 25 years of service, we're also ensuring that the first 25 years and the decades before that are not lost to time. We're honoring the past while preparing for the future. The Friends embody the same spirit of collaboration that defines the library. Just as this institution exists because communities chose to work together, the Friends exist because individuals choose to come together in support of a shared mission. Your work strengthens the library not just financially, but culturally and civically. As we celebrate the Friends Membership Month during this anniversary year, I want to extend a very clear invitation. If you're already a friend, I encourage you to renew your membership, and if you're able, consider increasing your support this year. If you're not yet a member, I invite you to join tonight. Every membership matters. Every contribution helps move this project forward. And when you support the Friends, you're not just funding a single initiative. You are investing in access, preservation, education, and community. You're helping ensure that the stories of this town remain available, searchable, and alive for generations to come. And before I close, I just want to express my gratitude to the Friends Board, to longtime members of the Friends, to all the volunteers, and to everyone here tonight. Your belief in the library makes a tangible difference. So on behalf of the library staff, the Board of Trustees, and the many people who benefit from your support without even realizing it, thank you. I'm looking forward to the rest of the night and the rest of Membership Month, and hopefully many more 25th anniversary celebrations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Oh, you chose well. That was fun. Did anyone notice that the price went from 10 cents to 25 cents? I thought that was kind of fun.
Inflation.
Inflation.
I'll leave that
Okay.
for Taylor.
And before I introduce our guest speaker, I wanted to let you know that this year, the Friends are not only asking for more volunteerism, more commitment, et cetera, but this year we're going to hopefully receive donations that if your company offers matching donations, if your company has a volunteer cooperative, et cetera, we're looking to make it bigger, make it more impactful. So we are so open to ideas. We really are. And I'm hoping that after our guest speaker, I'm going to be sitting at that table. Come over, talk to me, sign up to volunteer. Anyway, just to keep it going here, it's my pleasure to introduce this evening's special guest speaker, Taylor Ann Bradford. She is the first-time editor of the Hamilton-Wenham News, a new weekly print newspaper covering all the happenings in Hamilton and Wenham. Hopefully, we've all been receiving it in our mailboxes on Fridays, and look forward to that. Taylor has a love of for community newspapers and believes in the power they have to make a difference and help bring communities together. She began her journalism career at Peabody's Covenant Christian Academy, where she helped launch the school's first student newspaper. As a reporter for multiple newspapers and magazines, including the Salem News, Gloucester Daily Times, and the Ipswich Local News, she's had the opportunity to cover a wide range of stories, from, I like this one, hot wing eating contests and polar plunges to municipal elections and court cases. So she's a graduate of Gordon College, where she edited the student newspaper. Taylor also has a master's degree in outdoor environmental and sustainability education from the University of Edinburgh. Taylor, who lives in Beverly, is also a former wilderness guide and undergrad outdoor education course facilitator, and we are very lucky to have her tonight. Taylor?
Hello, everyone. Give me a second just to hook up. I just loved those the clips of all the different old newspapers. In college, I used to go in the library and look at the microfilm at Gordon College. Same thing. Crazy how history is cyclical. All right, 1 second. It's a very slow computer. Perfect. Awesome. Great. Wonderful. Well, I'll be talking about the importance of curiosity today. I thought it was quite fitting to have curious storage right on top of a pile of books, as we are at the library. But on behalf of the team at HW News, I'd like to thank the Hamilton-Wenham Public Library and the Friends for the opportunity to speak on this special night. My name, as said before, is Taylor Ann Bradford. I'm the first editor of the Hamilton-Wenham newspaper here in town. We're a free weekly print newspaper covering all the happenings in Hamilton and Wenham. For those who are curious of who we are, HW News is a year-old newspaper that has really big shoes to fill. After the Hamilton-Wenham Chronicle, a steadfast aspect of these two towns closed, a group of local residents came together with an ambition vision, a weekly newspaper that would come at no cost to readers, one that would write stories of substance and would be available to all. We've grown now into a team of journalists, editors, and photographers who, for the past year, each and every week, and I must admit, really early in the morning and really late at night, we've been producing just that. We strive for excellence in all that we do, and while we do make mistakes, we really work hard to admit that and also continue to share as we grow and learn just alongside each one of you. One of the key aspects of our newspaper is that we don't want it to cost anything for our readers. One that would write stories of substance and would be available to all. Which I've already said that, haven't I? That's okay. So the newspaper is one that not only covers town governance, but also tells the stories that no matter the stories of your neighbors and your friends as well. I'd like to take a quick minute. If those who are here who work for the newspaper in any capacity, could you please stand up? We have a few representatives of the newspaper, so I just want to say thank you so much. So we have layout designers, freelance writers, we have a crossword puzzle master here, but that is just a few of the staff members that we have at our publication. And I want to make sure this. It's like that. I feel fortunate to have the opportunity to celebrate the library's 25th anniversary with you all today, making its progress and impact. It seems to me that the basic goal of a library is that the story should be shared for free with all. That exploring stories, whether to find truth, knowledge, or simply entertainment, must be encouraged. I'm happy to share that vision at HW News and celebrate it here today. As said, when I was younger, I worked as a wilderness guide, leading expeditions of students through the Adirondacks. In that career, and in my current one, there's always been a line from fiction that I've leaned on. It's one which comes from a book that if you found it here today, I'm sure it would have long decades of overlapping checkout stamps on the front page. In Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Ring, the wizard Gandalf the Grey leaves a hurried letter for his young friend Frodo. He's worried that he might be delayed on his way back to meet the Hobbit and gives him a short rhyme to tell him that the identity of the trustworthy ranger is all right. He says, "All that is gold does not glitter. Not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither. Deep roots are not reached by the frost." I love those words. For those not familiar with the Lord of the Rings series, over quite a few further pages, we learn how the curiosity of that simple hobbit leads to the grandest adventures, the best of friends, and a chance to save the world. I've always resonated with the wizard's words, not all those who wander are lost. Libraries are a great place to wander, aren't they? In preparation for this talk, I think maybe on Monday, I wandered this very library to understand the rhythms of readers. And what I saw amazed me. I saw a man whose intensity and expediency of his walk in one aisle, I was sure that he was looking for a book that he had thought about for the longest time and was looking for. I also saw a college-age student upstairs on the computers, which I could only assume was writing an essay or doing some research. And in the child's wing, I also saw a child snuggled up next to a caregiver or parent who was listening with the intensity that only comes from a child who's really eager to see what's on the next page. None of these people are lost. Each of these people have, more likely than not, found themselves somewhere unexpected, found themselves feeling an emotion they might not have planned for, learning something they didn't necessarily seek. When we wander, we open ourselves to the possibility that the journey could provide us something even greater than the destination we were seeking. Now, I've benefited greatly from my own library wanderings from time to time. For me, my top 5 found treasures would probably be the following: Into the Wild, Crying at H Mart, The Overstory, Calvin and Hobbes, and the AMC Climbing Guides. Now, my husband's, however, are quite different. I should say that he's the type of person that gets quite evasive when you suggest that he has too many books, and he hates being asked what his favorites are. As you can see here, I've pulled a couple off of his shelf when he was distracted. We have The Way of Kings from the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, a textbook on electromagnetism, and a French copy of the Harry Potter's The Goblet of Fire and the collected works. He's quite the linguist, and as you can see, the two here are quite different, might be a bit of overlap. So in a single community like Hamilton and Wenham, or even in the same household, you'll have such a different interest that it might feel at times that you're speaking different languages. In a world of differences, however, libraries are a place where all are welcome. According to the Institute of Museum of Library Services, in 2025, libraries across the country saw a rise in usage with 800 million visits, millions of programs offered, and a steady rise in both physical and digital circulation. Libraries are demonstrating their enduring relevance and reaching communities nationwide, adapting with their community's needs. It is a place you go to find your favorites, to explore new authors and worlds, and meet community members for talks, events, and even elections. I've even begun to hold office hours here from time to time. So, if you're looking for Agatha Christie and instead see a redhead sitting at a table, come say hello. Our work and yours are interlinked, as we both hold curiosity at the height of our responsibility. When reporters prepare to interview a source or draft an article, we think of Rudyard Kipling's poem, "I keep 6 honest serving men." I keep 6 honest serving men, they taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who. The first thing we are taught as journalists is to be curious. It's critical when interviewing a subject or investigating a story to wonder which questions you haven't asked, what sides or perspectives you haven't explored. We have bookmarks in history that remind us of some of the greats whose curiosity changed the way we see the world. In journalism, we see Dickie Chappelle, war correspondent, who traveled across the world covering various conflicts, including the Battle of Iwo Jima. We have Ida B. Wells, investigative journalist who exposed racial injustice. We have Woodward and Bernstein, who did much of the original reporting on the Watergate scandal, which would later lead to the resignation of President Nixon. We have Christiane Amanpour, who was one of the leading war reporters of the late 20th and 21st century. And these are just to name a few. In these polarizing times, we collectively have very little energy to think about exploring anything from another side. Sometimes it feels like we're barely staying afloat, considering one side. Like we can only get through the day if we turn off our car radio, put down the phone, close the book, toss aside a newspaper, and yet we must be curious. Curiosity is how we end up understanding each other. Curiosity is how we broaden our scope, how we find more than we had planned, how we end up on the unexpected journey, how we get lost in the very best way. We find ourselves in a unique time in our country's history where the long-standing support for accessible libraries and quality journalism is shifting and eroding, as federal agencies directly responsible for supporting these institutions are being dismantled. But in the chaos of uncertainty, I have seen communities rally together to find hope in the midst of darkness. This event, highlighting the 25 years of Hamilton-Wenham Public Library and the rest of the campaign they have, is a perfect example of just that. Now is the time to be curious, to ask the questions that, as Wendell Berry wrote in his manifesto, may have no answers. The art of exploring comes with the understanding that you'll find yourself in places you didn't expect and discover things about yourself and others you never knew. And maybe even along the way, you might just find your new favorite book. Thank you. I don't know these questions so if people have questions, thank you for listening and letting me blather on as I share a few of my thoughts. So does anybody have any questions? If not, yeah?
I have one.
Yeah.
So I know that you're the new editor.
Mhm.
So when it started, was there an editor? Was it just a group of, what was the initial publication like that showed up in our mailboxes?
Yeah, so I'm the first full-time editor, and I think that's an important distinction. We did have Eric Convey, who has been an incredible mentor and friend. So he led the charge from the editing, but we also have a great board. George Hatch has been an incredible, monumental figure, Jack Lawrence, Christina Holtz, Paul Miahaldis, and we've added many more board members since then. So Eric Convey. And the fun fact, too, is at Gordon College, where I studied, we did investigative journalism into some things that were happening there. And Eric Convey was my mentor for that newspaper. And the first day in journalism class, he handed me a notebook. It was a reporter's notebook, and we've been good friends and collaborators ever since. So,
Great, thanks.
yeah.
So, how do you get revenue? How do you get monies to move forward? And you're also responsible for Ipswich, or is that a different team?
No, different team, different organizations altogether, but very good question. Yeah, and I think there might be a microphone as well. But the question was asked, how do we fund ourselves? So we have a couple different ways that we do that right now. So we have ad revenue. You probably have seen advertisements in the newspaper. That's a big portion of how we do our work right now. We also have contributors from the local community and beyond who contribute. So that's actually how we fund most of it. I believe 60% right now is actually contributions from readers right now. But again, that's how we fund ourselves. It's interesting. Newspapers in general are starting to move towards nonprofits. You see a lot more nonprofit newspapers these days because similar to libraries, we're losing a lot of the funding that we need. Priorities are shifting.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you get your stories? You have a very small staff and it's two communities.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so the question was, how do we find our stories? And so we have a great freelance base, but again, most of our freelancers are local, and that's a really beautiful thing. So, they hear the talk of the town, what's going on. So oftentimes people will know somebody who knows somebody who says, hey, you should write about this person. They're really, really cool. And so that's when we'll do that. We also have people who send news releases, and I'll encourage you guys. My business card is at the table. You can grab it. I welcome any and all press releases or tips or thoughts. So we get a lot of that as well from the general public, whether it's a phone call, email, or social media direct message. And then we also have two paid staff reporters who their job is not only to report but also to research. So they're doing a lot of work on the back end, reading all the different agendas that are coming in from the select board, the planning boards, different events, and seeing what's out there. So yeah, lots of different ways. And it's so funny because people are like, Hamilton-Wenham is so small. And then you're like, yeah, but we have so much news every single week. Like, we really could expand to so many more pages if we had the staff. But yeah, as of right now, it's just a gift to find the different stories in my inbox every single day. So yeah.
So are you digitizing it?
Yeah, so I know, as Kim was talking, I was like, oh, we should talk about digitizing. So right now we are print only. That's just the capacity that we have. The hope is to digitize it. So I don't know. I would love to learn how the systems worked way back in the day, but we do have everything in a PDF file. It's just figuring out what's the most responsible way to put that online. So whether that's working with other entities, whether that's creating our own website, but I think people in town really like that it is print. And so the intentionality of moving things online is going to take a while because it's kind of a big decision in a world of digital age. But yeah, right now just print, but the hope is one day. So.
If somebody doesn't live in Hamilton or Wenham, how do we get a copy, or is there a copy at the library to see?
Yeah. Yeah, so great question. So the question was, where can I get the newspaper if I don't live in town? The library has a ton of copies. So we have somebody who at Friday morning comes and drops them off. So you can get them there. And then there are multiple different establishments in town, so like a coffee shop, a grocery store, we drop them off there as well. If you don't have an address here in Hamilton or Wenham, that is something that we're also working on, which is how do we ship them to people who live out of town if they want to subscribe. But again, that's another project for another time. So, but yeah, come to the library, pick up a copy. So, yeah. Yeah, great. Oh, one more question? Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thank you so much for the library for all you guys do. And again, remember that they're doing a wonderful, incredible membership drive. And I just want to shout them out to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to chat and also just talk about books. So thanks.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Well, that concludes kind of the official program for this evening. We have snacks. We have the membership crew over there. Speaking of which, that was a great idea, Taylor. Who here is a member of the board of the Friends and or is here tonight to help us out? We have Heidi and Rosemary. Sure. Sure, I was about to do that, but first I wanted, okay, stand up if you're on the board of the Friends, please, or the trustees, either one. Thank you, guys. We can never say enough about our wonderful volunteers. Does anyone, before we break, have any questions either for me, for the Friends, or for Kim as the director of the library? Yes.
For the digitization process, will it be a relational database? Will it be word searchable?
Yes. Okay. Let me have Kim answer. I know the answer, but she'll say it better.
It would be
Yes.
Yeah, so
question
how the digitization project is going to be structured. So the company that we would like to work with is going to take, most likely what they'll take is our microfilm reels, because they're a little higher quality than the actual physical papers. And then they scan those and process them, they index them, they back them up to the cloud so that we have them in storage. They are searchable from the indexing. They'll have all the images, they'll have all the advertisements, everything that was original to the first document. We, as the library now, we subscribe to a database called Newsbank, and you can get the Chronicle digitally for free through that. However, all that is a transcript of the words, which is nice to have, but you're not getting the entirety with the images. And there's a lot of missing things from that version as well. So we're hoping, right, and it's not, it is sort of searchable, but not like the indexing is gonna be when we actually get to digitize. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did, thank you.
But, as a follow-up, could you do page by page like you can with a microfilm film?
Yeah, it's actually going to be exactly the microfilm, and it'll just be available. Yeah, exactly. You can look. I want to say Ipswich has done it. You can look at theirs online. I'm trying to think. Newburyport has done it with their local papers. If you're looking for samples of sort of how it's going to look as a finished product. There are some questions about copyright that we need to work on, because a lot of things are aren't in the public domain, so we have to work with, if we can find the original editors of the paper, or we'll have to do it password protected, which we'll figure all that out, but.
All right. Thank you. Just as an aside, when I was working for EBSCO, I started in the editorial department, and I used to tag and do all of the a lot of the publications that came in, so the indexing, et cetera. So everything from keyword to, oh gosh, the way the whole thing, I used to do People magazine, which was, we used to fight over it on Fridays, because the other thing was, one of the ones I did was The Economist. Not so much fun. But I can tell you that once it's in the database, it is very searchable, very accessible, and you'll be able to keyword search, and then also, to your point, scroll through as if you have the volume right in front of you, so, which is great. Any other questions for the friends or for Kim? Okay, well then, please enjoy some refreshment. Come sign up. Come talk to us. Ask questions to anyone who stood up. Okay, thanks so much for coming. We really appreciate it.